Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast with Ellen Parker. Today with us, she's CEO at Parker PR. She's also the recipient of a very long and prestigious prize. I'm going to mention it to you. Lieutenant Governor Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee Medal for volunteerism. So volunteerism is what Ellen has distinguished herself in. PR, Calgary, top 40 under 40 as well. So she sits on a number of boards. We're going to talk about that today, Ellen's career and everything between. This podcast is brought to you by my podcasting company. It's called ParkerPR.ca. If you want to start, scale, be invited to podcasts, find sponsors, everything in between, you can go to ParkerPR.ca. Ellen, welcome to the pod. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and about your company?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Charles. Happy to be here. So I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in an inner city community, and my family are musicians and very invested in the arts in Calgary. And so from a very young age, I was part of the community, volunteering for events and at the art college here in Calgary, as well as a number of charity organizations. I went to an absolutely wonderful school called the Calgary Waldorf School. It's a private school here in Calgary that has a big art focus. And through the school, we also did a number of volunteering, serving food for the homeless in basement churches and things like that. So I grew up with a foundation that was really rooted in working hard, giving back, and doing your best.
Interesting. And why were you motivated to do so? What was your upbringing and what led you to that?
Yeah, I think just really good examples through my parents and my family, as well as the teachers at the school I went to. Um, I had a passion for bringing people together at a very young age. So always hosted events when I was little and started fundraising initiatives, even in elementary school around my neighborhood, creating posters and doing campaigns from a very young age. And then my teacher encouraged me to go into communications. I wanted to be a lawyer at first, actually. That's kind of what I wanted to do growing up. But I decided that the communications field was a better fit because of a 4-year PR program that's here in Calgary and in Halifax as well. So there's 2 places in Canada that offer a 4-year degree in public relations. I did that. And then I've had a really interesting career journey since graduating with that degree now 20 years ago.
And how did you balance money and giving back? Like, what is your optimal amount of money before you're happy enough to be abundant and give back?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just actually did a radio segment this morning here in Calgary on QR 770 about that exact thing. I think I'm fortunate in the fact that I've had a lot of experience working for charity organizations before I founded my own company, Parker Public Relations. So I was a communications coordinator at the Food Bank and WordFest and the Institute for Children in Poverty in New York City. So I understand the inner workings of charity organizations. Number one. Number two, I think it's really important that when you decide to support a charity, you, number one, get your team involved. So you ask your team members in your organization what they want to invest in and what they care about. Because if your whole team is also invested and feel like they have a say in what you're volunteering in as an organization, then you're going to get a lot better results. I feel like, time is expensive and businesses can't necessarily afford to bring their full team to volunteer because that's a lot of money that the business is paying the team to do that. However, there are benefits like, for example, building camaraderie, encouraging your teams to work well together, working for a cohesive goal. So there's a lot of benefits just creating opportunities for team builders at charity organizations. It's a win-win. And then the other thing, when you volunteer, take lots of photos, post on social media, show how your organization cares and helps, show the value and the fundamental principles of your organization through social media and capturing that and send that out through a newsletter to all of your clients. Because if your clients know that you're doing really good work in the community, they're going to be more interested in working with you because they're going to have that, they're going to appreciate and respect what you're doing. And then also when you're volunteering, you can build so many different relationships. So you can build long-term partnerships, and you can think about how you're growing your brand through the different other people who may be volunteering, and through the charity, the board members of the charity organization. So just being strategic about how you're building relationships is effective when spending time volunteering.
And what challenges do you often see in nonprofits? Because when I speak to nonprofit CEOs, I often see that they're not business people. They're mostly heart-centered folks. They want to give back, but in my opinion, you need lots of brain and IQ and effectiveness and business acumen to be successful in nonprofits. What challenges do you see on your side? And do you agree with what I just said?
Yeah, I would say definitely in the past, more so, people didn't understand as much the importance of the business mindset and that acumen you spoke of within a charity organization. I feel like that's where boards can be really effective. That's part of the reason why I'm on so many boards, is because typically the leader of the charity organization is very passionate about the cause, which is fabulous. But to your point, it's really important to have that business mindset to be able to be sustainable and to ensure that that organization operates as a business, essentially, to be sustainable. So I think for folks listening, if you do have a passion about something and also a business sense, then it's a really good idea to look at joining a board of directors and being a part of a board, because then you can just offer your area of expertise and really help that organization.
Right. And you're sitting on many boards. So how do you find these companies at first, and how do you make sure that you're effective as a board member?
Yeah, good question. I think even just looking around in your local community and seeing what charity organizations are operating, what organizations are impacting you and your business, speaking with your family and your team and saying, what are you interested in? Are you interested in helping animals or, helping seniors? Kind of having an understanding. It really starts with passion, I feel, and it starts like from inside. So for myself, my children go to a local school that is next to a shelter for women and children fleeing domestic violence. And so I know a lot of these women through the school who actually live at that shelter. So that shelter is called the Brenda Strafford. And I became really committed to helping that organization because my children go to school with many of the kids that live there. And so because of my own personal passion for that, I have my company has adopted them as one of our pro bono clients, and we do a lot of free work for them. We do coat drives. Last year, we actually raised over 1,000 coats and had them professionally dry cleaned through my friends who own Fishman's Dry Cleaning. They generously donated dry cleaning to 1,000 coats, which would be, $40,000. So you can do things like that to help charity organizations. And I think it starts with passion, and it starts with looking around where you live and seeing what will make a difference in my community. Because if it starts with your family, it starts inside you, and then it goes to your neighborhood and your community. There's lots of opportunities for every single person to find an organization that needs help.
Very, very striking. Yeah, the fact that your children go to the same school as them, and that's the importance of community. I think people should take a bit further than their own home and their own self. If you don't take care of your community, that's what you're surrounded with. And yeah, I think the importance of community has been somewhat forgotten in the last few years or a few decades. As a humanity, we're more individualistic, and I think it's important for people to to invest in that as well. You're the recipient of multiple prize, one that I eloquently tried to say at the beginning of this podcast. How did you get these prizes, and why should people attempt at least to get some of these medals slash prizes?
Yeah, the awards. So the top 40 under 40 is an award given to 40 people in Calgary under 40 every year. And that it's an interesting question that you asked me. And a lot of people do ask me, oh, how do you become a top 40 under 40? And it starts with what are you doing in your community? I mean, are you helping and are you volunteering? I don't think it's something that you can as an adult. I think it really starts with who you are as a human being and how you've been contributing and helping through your life, really. And for me, it was just because I'm really involved in the community and I help a lot, and I'm willing to put a lot of time and effort and money into making organizations around me more rich, because I love Calgary. And I think ultimately I want Calgary to be a leading city in opportunity and kindness and passion. And I want my kids to live somewhere that's really vibrant and full of people who care. And so I think that the first step to your question of, how you become a recipient of a number of these awards is just doing good work and being selfless and seeing what needs help and where there's areas where you can contribute, because ultimately it's also really fun. And when you start volunteering and you start helping organizations and you see the impact, like us being able to drop off 1,000 coats to women who don't have money, it's really inspiring. And I think it becomes something that you just have to do. It's a part of who you are. The Queen Jubilee Medal is something that it's an Alberta medal, so for folks who live in our province. And that was the different members of the Legislative Assembly, the MLAs, look at people in their constituencies that do good work. And then that's how I was nominated for that award. But the top 40 was also for having a successful business. So it's a combination of having a successful business, doing really compelling work, and then also giving back.
How can CEOs and business leaders start small in giving back?
Well, there's really, simple ways to do that are just purchasing tickets to charity events, buying tickets to the orchestra in your area. The Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra in Calgary is amazing. There's the Vancouver Symphony, there's orchestras and arts organizations around the world. So even purchasing tickets to attend is a great way to support. Going online and engaging in raffles and online auctions for charity events. If you cannot attend in person, you can also give back that way. Or just going to different websites of the charity organizations in your community and sending an email and saying, I'd really love to help you and support. I'd love to volunteer once a month, even if it's that low-hanging fruit. Please let me know how to connect with the volunteer coordinator. So those are some really simple ways. Or just dropping off food at the food bank, dropping off coats for coat drives. I know right now in Calgary, it's Remembrance Day coming up here on November 11th. So buy a poppy for Remembrance Day and put it in your jacket, a little red flower. So there's all sorts of ways to contribute, from just spending 25 cents on a poppy to donating thousands of dollars.
Yesterday, I was listening to Joe Rogan and Elon Musk at their third interview, I think, and Elon was saying that for every job that he creates 5 more. As someone that works in a plant, you create 5 more jobs of a teacher, nurse, and whatever. It made me think of the impact and calculating the impact that you have on society. On your side, how do you quantify the impact that your actions and your energy investments are having on society?
Yeah, good question. One thing that we do here for each of our clients is we do a monthly report, and the monthly report shows it monetizes all of our efforts. So, for example, if we write a press release about a charity organization looking to generate food for, the Christmas holidays or whatever it may be, and we send out a press release and we get news coverage, each of those items of news coverage you can pay for. So we don't pay for it. It's called earned media, how we get it. But if you were to pay for it, it's thousands of dollars. So we monetize all the PR that we are able to get our clients. Now, our clients can use that for their board of directors. They can use that in their sponsorship packages. So when a charity organization has a number of media hits that are valued at, $100,000, that's very compelling for other businesses to want to sponsor them and for other people to want to get involved. So one way that we look at the impact that we have on our clients is looking at how we can monetize the media relations and what that did for the organization. We've had a number of clients who we've leveraged and helped get lots of publicity who have received tons of awards. Like myself, if you have a resume of awards and accolades, then there's a lot more opportunity for you to continue to give back and to speak at universities and to do all of those things. And that in itself is impacting so many people. So like for myself, I volunteer at the Mount Royal University and I'm a guest lecturer. So I come in and I help train and educate 30 to 60 students at different points throughout the year. So now I'm directly impacting, 60 students and training them and giving them information to help them succeed in their lives. So now they're going to go into their life and have a much better opportunity to be a better caretaker for their children and be a better contributor in their community. And so I think that's how you can look at impact. There's a number of other ways, of course, just through statistics and looking at website engagement and social media engagement. And when we write sponsorship letters to generate money for charities, looking at how much we're able to raise. So those are ways that we monetize what we're doing.
Right. And how do you balance business vs nonprofit nowadays? Is it like 80% capitalism and 20% social? Is that how you split your resources?
No, I would say, I'm a for-profit business, so I'm running a business here, and I have clients who hire us to do work for them. I would say probably right now it's about 70% business, 30% of my time is giving back, which is a
That's
lot.
pretty good. Yes, it is a lot. In my case right now, I do consider the pod to be giving back because it's free, but yeah, like people have options, right? And not everyone will listen to a podcast. But in my case, probably like 95% capitalism and 5% nonprofit. I'm seeking to bring it to at least 90 and 10 respectively. I'm seeing, that you have your PR agency there. I'm looking at your Insta. It's really inspiring. Plus the fact that you're giving back. Like, what are your priorities for next year? What are your top 3 goals?
Yeah, my top 3 goals for next year are to honestly continue the momentum that we've been building in this last quarter. We have a very strong team. I'd like to kind of expand our market a little bit and maybe do I'm very mindful of where we work, to be honest with you. I mentioned I lived in New York City before I started this business a long time ago, 3 years ago, and I had hoped to do work there at some point. We had some work before the pandemic and then everything changed. But because my children are 10 and 12 and I have a family here, I'm very mindful of my time and ensuring that I'm not spending too much time working. I want to be with my kids. They're my number one priority. But at the same time, I do want to work on a few probably more national campaigns, some bigger brands. We've dabbled doing, some work with Tiffany & Co. and Gucci, and we love fashion and art and culture. That's kind of like our heartbeat around here. We love working with strong businesses in the community, commercial real estate agencies, and not-for-profit organizations, of course. Lots of restaurants we work with. So yeah, I think continuing what we're doing, to be honest with you, and we have so many charity organizations that we do support that I can't say our focus is going to be on one for next year because I mean, we really have a model where if there's a charity organization in need, they reach out to us and we help them. And even if it's something simple as sending out a press release or offering to recommend a sponsor or showing up to volunteer, we do that kind of with all the charities in Calgary to some degree. So there's not one specific focus when it comes to charity work for 2024, but just to continue what we're doing. And, you know, the more we do this, the more refined our processes become. And it really becomes very seamless and streamlined just because we know exactly what works and what doesn't.
Really cool. Where can people find out more about you, Ellen?
On our website at ParkerPR.ca, and we also have Parker Media, and that's an Instagram, and there's also a page on our website about Parker Media, and on our Instagram, LinkedIn, and yeah, through our website.
Thank you so much. That was another CEO Wisdom podcast with Ellen Parker and Charles Cormier as your host.